So we got around, got it all cleaned up in here. As you can see, the floor's immaculate. The benches are immaculate. And Amir's off tomorrow. So it looks really nice. Done a cracking job on it. Unfortunately, I'm still waiting for the hoops to turn up. There's brass hoops that go in here with a body colour. You can see the finish on it is really quite something. There's a couple of little bits though that I'm not 100% happy with, but yeah, unfortunately the guy's been paid now, it's done. But if you look at the front of that, look how nice the paintwork is. You can see how straight the car is. It's pretty nice. I mean, the gleam on that is super. There's a few little issues here and there, but I'm hoping that this detailer can take them out. But as you can see, it's very nice. Once that chrome's on, it's going to be like, should be automotive pornography. And these are all just old scabby ones we just moved it around on. There's a couple of pieces there. A bit there, it's not good. But all the door gaps and everything else are looking really well. So that's it, it's up on the ramp. We can start doing some bits and pieces on it. So I was away all day yesterday, which was Thursday, and as you can see, we've got one headlight in. One of the headlights in, and the chrome bonnet is on. It took quite a while to get this absolutely perfect in the centre. This is the original bumper that was on it. The overriders here are new. They weren't worth repairing for what it cost to have stuff re-chromed. But the bumper is original, and this was really badly battered here. And as you can see, they made a beautiful job of it, but at a price, like everything, I guess. So yeah, so there's the chrome plinths here. And you can see there, that's just slightly out of alignment. So we'll have to get that lined up properly. But it's certainly coming on. You can see the plinth is really nice. Just take... See, the plinth's gone in very, very nicely. And there, if you look there, the distance, and you look there at the distance, you see it's almost spot on. Here is the big, as it rises up, you can see there, and as it rises up, you can see there. So it's looking good. He's also managed to get on. They've left now for about 16, 17 days. You can see the back bumper is on as well, which looks really nice. So I have to start getting all that stuff on. There's quite a lot of chrome to finish on the back here, lights and so on. But again, I'm just contacting the Better Lighting company in the UK that do LED for the headlights and for the rear lights, because the 58 car had completely red stop light and indicator, because they mostly were sold to America, and you really need that orange. So they've got a special setup where it glows orange through the red lens, strangely enough, but apparently it works very well, and it will meet the laws here, because otherwise you have to put an indicator, a drop indicator underneath, and it looks bloody awful. Now you might think the car looks a bit squint, and there's a good reason for that. The wheels and tyres on this car are completely mismatched. They're the wrong sizes on the left side than they are to the right. That's why it looks a bit wonky. But they're only to move the vehicle around. I've got 5 brand new ones, but I don't want to buy the tyres until the kind of last minute, because really, you know, 5 to 7 years, regardless of what you do on them, they're pretty much done. So I want to get as much life out of them as I can. So until the car's actually up and running, I won't buy the tyres. But there we are. And as you can see, the Mini's tucked into the back, and there isn't a lot of space when the ramp is down. So yeah, but it's coming on really well. So I'll get these floors and I'll show you this week. I'll be working on, in the next 2 weeks or so, 2 weeks or more, I'll be working on the XK150, and I'm going to work on that Citroen there and take the cab off, the back off, and do quite a bit of welding, because I'm getting a bit of welding blues. I haven't done any welding for a few weeks. So there we go. But coming on nicely, I think. When that big grille is in there and the bonnet, with the leaping cat on it and the chrome up the middle. It's going to look the nuts. GoPro, stop recording. So I'm going to start on these floors, which are wood in the XK150s. They're supposed to be Baltic pine, and I actually got them from SNG Barrett, but looking at them now, I probably could have built them myself. But anyway, it is what it is, I have them. So you can see there's this felt, which is actually drumming compound, and it's to stop it making a noise, obviously against the chassis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the boards in, and I'm going to screw them down, and then on both sides I'll then go underneath, scribe round this lip all the way round, or these three sides anyway, because the gearbox tunnel sits along there. I'll scribe them or put white marker pen all the way around, and then I'll fit the aluminium to it, and then we'll see how we go from there. I just hope that's going to work and that's going to push down enough to do what I think it's going to do. I just think it'll give it a little bit more protection. It's a little modification, which is a piece of, I think I paid €20, that will cover the front floors and then make that back boot panel lid for the spare wheel and a bit spare. So it's no big deal. It might help. It'll certainly be a better splash guard than the wood itself, even with something waterproof on it. So I'll show you what it looks like. I'll pop it in and I'll show you, and then I'll screw it down. So you can see I've put the floors in. I haven't put all of them in. Now these are not the original screws, but I use these because, not just because they're hex, but they're nice and flat for the carpet. Otherwise you end up with a big head on it. So this is what I was talking about. So if you have a puncture in this car, it's just basically like a mini. You put the jack in the side of the sill, in this case the chassis, and you can jack up one side of the car, so you front or back basically. And the way you do that is you'd obviously pull back the underlay and the carpet, and then you lift this, which is basically, and then you can see right into the chassis there, and the jack goes down there and into that slot there. In fact, I need to buy the bungs for them, because I believe you can still get them, stop any crap going inside. So the jack would go down, the arm would come up, and you push it forward, and you can wind it from up here. That I've got to buy from the UK. It's a kit. You can buy the jack and the ratchet. So it's just basically a ratchet which you turn over to go down, or the other way to go up, and it lifts the whole one side of the car. And then to put it back in, it's just a simple case of sliding it in. Oh, maybe I've got the wrong end. And then I can do it one up. There you go. And just pop it back in. Put the cover down, so at least you don't have to kneel down to get the wheel nuts off. So I haven't got all the bolts in, obviously, just enough so I can mark round it, and you can see the other sides there. So I'll lift the car up now and I'll show the underneath and what I'm intending to do. Okay, so I'm underneath the car to get it up on the ramp. So you can see what I mean now about these tyres. So if you look at that, look at the rim against the tyre, which is pretty flat, and then look at that one. It's a completely different profile tyre. And that's why, if you look at it, you can see it's on a bit of an angle. See the slope there? And probably looks the same when you look behind. You can see from the chassis that it's not that straight. And you can, I've actually checked it, but it's just at the tyres. So again, this is a slower one, and this is a bigger profile. But as I say, they're only there to run it around. So starting from the back, all aluminium tank in there now. So everything from the underneath is pretty much brand new. This car had a total nut and bolt rebuild, and the body was in a shocking condition. So all of this is all brand new under here. The doors, new panels on the doors, the outriggers. There was a massive amount of work, and if you want to go back over the last 5 years, you'll see it all. A lot of work on this car. So, as I say, I've put the floors in. You can see now how the floor sits up against. The reason those nuts are there is for the tunnel, obviously for the gearbox tunnel, which screws in the other way around. So I've bolted it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark around those edges there. And that one's a bit difficult to get into, so I'm going to have to mark that one. And then I'll come from the side and mark the ones on the side here. And the same there. And obviously what I'll do is it'll all be painted up before it goes in. Now, I was just looking at this here. This is this mount I was looking at from underneath, but in fact there's 3 mounts there, and I could put it on the top of that chassis and bolt it down. You'll see how much movement there is. Yeah, that's something I need to look at. I'm just wondering if a V-block from the IRS would fit perfectly on that, or modify it. Something to think about. Anyway, so I've taken this side out and I'll show you what we're up to. So I've marked this out. Hopefully this is going to be right. It's a bit bigger than I need. What I've done there is that's the actual hole for the cover here. And what I've done is I've brought it inside by 8mm. And because it's aluminium, it's easy to bend, even that tight radius there, and I can move it up inside. It should, because this is slightly higher, it shouldn't catch. I've got all the holes ready. And the reason I've done this side so straight, and the board is actually pre-cut, because it's pre-cut for a MOS box, or the original box that was in it, which had a electrical overdrive unit. And these pieces on the edge, you can see here, are not required. This is where the solenoid was, and so on and so forth. So a lot of these pieces are actually not required. And as I said, I bought these from SNG Barrett and then still had to adjust them quite a bit. So I'd have been better off just buying the board. Anyway, it is what it is, and you buy these pieces separately, the cover and then the insert that goes in it. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this overlap here. So this is 8mm plus 4.2 centimeters, and that'll lap over the top, so that means the edge, no water can get in on the edge, and this will then go in between where the gearbox tunnel sits along here.